Hello and welcome back to the Eurovoxx Podcast, the place where we will be discussing all things Eurovision. Coming up today, it is a bumper episode as we will be discussing seven, yes, not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, not eight, seven countries today with Lithuania, Estonia, Belgium, Poland, Germany, Denmark, and last but not least, Moldova. Or maybe least. We'll see what you think about Moldova. But before we get on to those countries, let me introduce my guest, who is, of course, from one of these countries. He is a returning member of Vox to the show. He is from a country that has sadly now come last in the final 2 years in a row. But don't worry, in probably his own opinion, if he doesn't like his country's entry, he can always go and support Austria. This is, of course, Dom. How are you, Dom?
Hi, good for now. Let's see how it goes, right? I'm
you,
scared.
you know how the guests feel on my show.
Very comfortable up until a certain point, but that's fine.
And he's not just talking about the game because he's talking about his own country today. But I digress.
Exactly. Someone's got the reference. That's good.
Yes. But before we get into that, we start with the three questions our guest always answers. But of course, Dom, as a returning guest, we already know his first Eurovision year. We already know his favorite Eurovision entry of all time. So we've adjusted them slightly. I will say we've had to adjust the first question because sadly, Dom has never been to a Eurovision in person. So we've had to adjust it slightly for Dom. So Dom, what is your favorite Eurovision moment just in general, whether you're watching at home or not a song necessarily, so like a moment you remember?
Probably Austria's victory in 2014.
Nice.
That was a moment because like my living room was full of friends. Like we were like 12 to 15 people, I can't remember. And I was still living with my parents. And my mom went downstairs because like she was watching it upstairs because it was too crowded for her. But then she came downstairs realizing that Austria, and she's Austrian by the way, that's important to notice.
Yes.
And she went over, cried like, Austria won! Ah! And that was so funny, and I was very happy as well. Because honestly, I wasn't expecting that at all. And like as a half Austrian, I was very happy and very proud because the previous results were pretty poorly. And they also withdrew from Eurovision a few years because of their poor result. So that was really a memorable moment for me. So I guess it's that.
Yeah, I tell you what, Austria is fascinating, a country in Eurovision, because no disrespect to Austria, I believe they're average-wise the worst country in Eurovision that's won in like the last 10 years. Denmark's catching up, but
I was about to say Denmark is like pretty badly at the
they're
moment.
helped by their early 2010s record.
Yeah.
Recently they're catching up, but yeah, Austria, it's like they didn't qualify in 2013 or 2012, deservingly so in 2012, then won in 2014, and then came last with 0 points in 2015 in the final. So it's like that. There's a massive outlier there. And then in recent years, obviously, they've come like third in 2018, qualified last year, and deserved a much better position, I would say,
Thank you. What?
last year. Yeah. First did not help it in the running order. But yeah, I mean, a very deserving winner. And Conchita, just a mainstay. And is there a Eurovision concert going? Yeah, Conchita's probably there. You know,
Yeah,
it's like
especially in German selections, Conchita's always there, as this year.
with this year, whether they have good taste in music is another issue.
I've never mentioned that, but she's there.
she sung a good song. Let's leave it at that. So the second question we can keep the same, thankfully. So Dom, what is your favorite Eurovision entry from last year, 2023?
From last year. Oh, sorry, mainstream tattoo. Like
Really?
LOREEN. Yes. Oh, she's so good. I really was happy. Even though like I think like Sweden has won quite a few times already, and like 3 times within the last like 12 or 11 years, I think 12 years. So I think it's a
Yeah,
bit too
something like that.
much, honestly. I prefer a variety of winning countries. So in that regard, I was a bit like meh. And also because Sweden tends to change things in something in terms of the like organization or the voting system, which is usually not in my favor, I would say. That's why I was a bit hesitant, but knowing that Petra Mede is one of the hosts, I'm fine because I love her. And we know that Sweden sends quality and is also like very good at organizing this event because they're really into it. So overall I'm very, very happy.
I mean, that stage in MALMÖ looks like it's going to be phenomenal. And also, touchwood, they haven't changed anything drastic with the voting, as far as we're aware, right?
Whew, lucky me. Also, I must say, like last time in Malmö, I loved this symbol they had with the butterflies. I think that was
Oh
my
yeah, that was good.
favorite ever. I really loved that when the butterfly were flying in to the screen, having this the like the visuals of the flag. I really love that. If they can do something not like the same, but something as cool as that one, I would be down to it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, pulling back the curtain, we're both in like a sweepstake thing within a friendship chat group, and you actually have Sweden. So you said you don't want Sweden to win. I don't think you'd mind necessarily this year if they've got a good song.
Well, I've got another contender, so I'm good.
We'll get on to them today. And we'll let the audience decide whether they are a contender for that. One of my contenders actually in that sweepstake is speaking about today. I feel a bit more confident about my chances. And then the final question is our guest question, where we always ask our previous guest to bring in a question for the next one. This was sent in by Samuele, last week's guest, and I promise you now, Dom, he did not know a German and a Brit was going to be answering this question. He wants to know, Dom, is the Big Five a fair rule in the contest? And yes or no, and why?
Okay, so it is kind of because
in our biased opinions.
No, not just because of that. Because I must say I had a phase where I was really against this rule. Also in terms of like pushing Germany and UK because they also struggle quite a lot. And Spain, I think these are the weaker ones. Yes, Italy is always the strong one, and France is like so, you know?
Yeah.
Just to push them a bit further and not just rely on this, we're already in the final, you know? Because I have the feeling sometimes they tend to be like, well, we're good. No, you're not. It's embarrassing, landing in the bottom again and again and again. And nowadays I am, because just imagine all the big fives are eliminated in the semifinals. Do you think the viewership will be as high? Do you think possible one of the countries or maybe a few will withdraw from the competition? Then the pay fee for the other smaller countries would be way higher, considering that we only have like 37 countries, which is pretty low in my opinion. Also, like countries which really want to participate, but just simply can't afford it. Just thinking about North Macedonia, who's still part of Junior Eurovision, but not a Eurovision anymore, just based on the money, I would see a very big negative effect on that. I think the numbers of countries would be lower even further, and then maybe the point of having two semifinals would be absurd at some point. So I would say just keep it as it is. And honestly, it's really not a benefit at all. So yeah.
No. I mean, it's a benefit to us because we get to see our country in the final a lot more than we would have if we had to go through the semi-finals. But I'm sort of in line with you, but like also the Big Five pay enough money to sort of justify being in the final, and they get enough viewers. So like UK especially is gets quite a few viewers. They're just more quiet about it. They're Eurovision fans. They're like sort of hide in their bedroom watching the show.
Sometimes there's different reasons for it, you know, because some of them are like, "Oh, we were just making fun of the contest." Well, you're still watching it, so who cares?
Yeah, you get amusing.
Exactly.
But also, like, if the fees were like all the same, for example, I'm taking it from like a fee perspective. Again, like it's similar to you, more countries would withdraw. Like, I completely understand and justify Russia's withdrawal or disqualification from the contest. It's completely justified that they're no longer in the contest. However, because they paid a decent amount to the contest, even though they were in the semi-finals, and I feel like that has had a roll-on effect on some countries not taking part, with the Bulgarias, the North Macedonias, and the Montenegros. Although I will say, I do think North Macedonia, like side note, North Macedonia will return eventually, whether it's next year or within the next couple of years. Like that one, I feel more safe in saying. Montenegro, I feel might as well. I do find it funny. North Macedonia's reasoning is like, we're going to focus more on the 60th anniversary on our TV rights. I'm like, so you were fine with the 50th taking part, but the 60th is much more important.
Don't want to be shady, but who gives a F, first of all? And second, you may just combine it, maybe having like a big national final and celebrate
well, it's like, you would think
the winner gets to Eurovision. Easy.
You'd think that it would help celebrate the 60th year if you're in a massive contest where more people will see your show.
Yeah.
I mean, it's similar with Romania as well. I mean, they've got their own issues with like reasoning. I mean, everyone
So
uses
bummed about that, by the way. I really am disappointed because
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
everyone uses the phrase like budget cuts. It's also like don't care. It's like
Mm.
Moldova, these countries like Moldova, for example, are not running on massive budgets, and we can tell from the national final. But they still take part and they still try. It's like it's a case of like also not caring. And I don't believe the Romania broadcaster sadly care. I don't believe they cared last year.
Exactly. Like Greece
but-
is another big example. They were in the big crisis in the 2010s. They had like big deaths, and there was a big conversation about like leaving the EU because of that. However, they still managed to participate. So even if Greece can do that, all the others can. Honestly, it's just about prioritizing.
Yeah, I mean San Marino, never withdrawn, and I know that they have like considerable actually funds going into the contest compared to other ones. They prioritize it, even though their
Yeah.
results don't necessarily show that they prioritize the contest. But they do put some money in. But like a country that size, I'm like, surely if they can take part, you can't use money reasons too much. Even though like it is a factor. I do appreciate like the
Yeah.
funds go up if certain countries would draw. And
Mhm.
yeah, the Big Five is needed for that reason. Side note, I do hope more countries come back. Like obviously
yes.
ones that are politically fine. This should not cause any drama.
Yeah, I don't want to see Russia again or Belarus, but Slovakia. I mean, come
Well,
on.
Slovakia was reported for 2025. They might come back. I will say Belarus's suspension is up next year. Just gonna throw that out there. Whether
Is he gonna like it? Hashtag reference. I don't know.
we'll see with Belarus. We'll see. But like countries like Monaco might come back potentially with their
please,
broadcaster. Andorra. That I've forgotten her name. The 2009 artist. What's her name?
Susan.
Susan. Yeah, Susan. She will keep saying Andorra needs to come back until they actually
support.
Yeah, again, North Macedonia, Montenegro. I'm less confident on Bulgaria because I just feel like their current system doesn't care. Hungary, I'd love to see Hungary back. But
yeah,
again,
I think Turkey and Hungary, both political situations right now. I really hope for Bosnia, and also like in terms of like the whole like ex-Yugoslavian country, because we are down to 3, I think.
I will say with Bosnia, that one I just like their financial issues are like well documented. Like they can use that because I genuinely believe of all the countries not currently in the contest, but Bosnia do care about Eurovision. They do want to get back. They just have financial debts to pay off. And also I think the fans of all the countries like that realistically can come back. Their first answer is Bosnia. So I'd love to see him back, and they've got a great fan base. Although yeah, your point with the Balkans, like how many we got left? Serbia, Albania, and that's it.
Slovenia and Croatia.
Oh, Slovenia. Yeah, yeah, those 4. It's like the numbers are dwindling.
Albania has been Yugoslavia? I think they were independent, I think.
I don't know. It's definitely Serbia.
Fun fact, I've studied politics. Here we go.
Right. Yes, you study politics and Albania's a maybe. So now we come to the countries that we'll be talking about today. And up first, we go to the Baltics with Lithuania. Their national final finished on Saturday night. And the winner of their national final and going to Eurovision was Sylvester Belt and the song Luktelk. So that was Sylvester Belt with Luktelk, Lithuania's entry for Eurovision 2024. Sylvester is from Kaunas in Lithuania and has marked Troye Sivan actually as one of his main inspirations in music. I feel like you can actually tell that a little bit with his styling in this music video. So, Dom, going into this contest, I think it's safe to say that when people saw names like The Roop or Monica Maria, they thought they would be the front runners. Sylvester Belt sort of came a little bit out of nowhere in that first heat and then got a lot of buzz. He was, I think, the fan favorite, definitely. I mean, amongst the community, but soon we found out later within Lithuania. I usually tend to prioritize ranking, speaking about these in order of hype. And Lithuania is not a country I thought I'd have first in a list. No disrespect to them, they're solid, but like never the high level. This has got hype around it. Do you feel it's justified? Do you feel it's a good entry? What are your thoughts on Lithuania?
Okay, short version, love it. Long version, so many takes like it's techno and very strong beat, which I'm really a fan of. I really like this. It's in Lithuanian, and it's something.
Second time in 3 years.
Yes, and there's a hype around the Lithuanian song. I really like this. So this is something you wouldn't necessarily expect, I think. He Speaking about Troye Sivan, I get that now. I haven't thought about it yet, but it really does. And I love Troye Sivan, you know this. So
Yeah, yeah.
also maybe a reason why I'm really into the song. I loved the staging. I loved the performance. It was so catchy and it was so like effective. It suited the song perfectly and it's stuck in your head. Even though, again, it's a Lithuanian, it's still in your head. This is so difficult to do, and it managed to do so. And I'm really liking the fact that he knocked out like very strong names. And I listened to the Rube, and I'm very happy that this is what has won because I think it would have been like a name or reputation win for the
Oh
Rube
yeah.
this time around because it was fine, it was okay, and they are a good band, obviously, but it was a bit repetitive, I think, in terms of their entries, and they had the biggest buzz in 2020, I think. I
Yeah.
think they could have potentially won that there, and maybe it's their time now. I really like this. This is currently my favorite out of the 20 we've got. Yes, I really love this, and it like the choreography is catchy and memorable. It's yeah, I think this is definitely going to qualify first of all, and I think Lithuania deserves to at least be like top three or something, really close to the victory at least. It's the only Baltic country who hasn't won yet, and I think this is maybe the closest chance to get there. I really think so. I have high hopes for this one.
Maybe. I mean, we were going to get onto predictions after in the question, but you jumped
Sorry.
the gun. Don't worry, you got six other countries today to get the formula. No, it's fine. So for those who listen to the podcast, and hopefully there are repeat listeners to this podcast, will know that I've actually discussed Looked Out before with Chris earlier when we were discussing national final favourites. Chris submitted Looked Out as one of his favourites, and it's actually the first one from that list that's actually won their national final. There's a considerable amount of those that have not won, sadly, but we digress.
Mhm.
But with this one, I remember saying in that episode that I liked the song. I found it very good. I didn't love it at the time. I remember describing it as a fascinating entry. And I have to sort of retract that a little bit. Well, not retract it, but add to it. Because this is not just a fascinating entry. This is a fantastic entry. This is incredible. I've learned to go, okay, why wasn't this on my playlist before? Put this on now. And the Heat performance was good. There was a lot of bass elements there that were good, but live for some reason in the final, this came alive even more. I love the change to the end. I think that suits Eurovision more, adds a more anthemic nature to it, and excuse me, uh, it just seemed to click more. I think Sylvester Belt just had more confidence in the final. He was selling the song more. He was a bit more open with his actions, and it just worked. What I love about this is, especially when it comes to bops, a lot of the time, when it comes to songs you can dance to, when a song is unique, there's a gimmick to it as well. The examples I can think of are Finland's this year. You know, there's the camp gimmick but it's still danceable. This somehow has done an incredible job of being unique, but also not having a gimmick. This is just good pop music, which is so rare to find in to have that niche in Eurovision, but also be something that you could easily hear on the radio. Ignoring the language barrier aside, this would easily be a UK hit. I've seen a couple people compare this to Kylie Minogue, "Can't Get You Out of My Head," and I quite like that example, that sort of
Mm.
dark, mysterious bop vibe, and the performance itself, effortlessly cool. The whole, like, I love the like flashing lights and like the dance breakdown. I think that's fantastic, and just the LEDs work perfectly. This all works. This is fantastic. Don't only just adapt this to the stage of MALMÖ. You do not need to change anything here, Lithuania. You've got something. I'm really thrilled. This potentially the route currently. No, they're not. 2018 is actually my favorite Lithuania entry with the long name I can't pronounce with when they're old. Sorry, I can't.
Eva something.
Eeva. This is right in contention to be my favorite Lithuanian entry of all time. I can't say for certain yet, but it's almost there. And the fact this did beat the Roop, which has the record for the top 2 for highest televotes in the Lithuania national final with Discotheque and On Fire, speaks volumes. This destroyed the televote in that super final at the end. This was the clear favorite. And I love in that final, no disrespect to Lithuanians, but, it's a sit-down audience. They don't usually get up. Halfway through the song, everyone up. We're dancing to this. Like, that speaks volumes. The camera actually had to change positions sometimes because they were blocking the shot, which is fantastic. And also, we were discussing sweepstakes earlier. Lithuania is one of my countries, so I'm more than happy to have Sylvester on my team. The other one's actually revealing their entry next week. Please, baby lasagna, represent Croatia. That's another episode. So, you mentioned about your prediction briefly, but just to sort of reiterate, you think this is qualifying. Lithuania's best result is 6th place with "We Are the Winners of Eurovision" from 2006.
How?
It's a good look, it's a good record. 6th is a good placing, but it does feel like the kind of record where Lithuania would probably prefer to have a different name on that list, doesn't it?
Yes, I fully agree. And there were stronger songs for sure. I must say, like, shout out to I've Been Waiting for This Night. This is my favorite so far. I really love this
Nice.
song. Yes. But the group was also good, obviously. But this might be the one for me from now on, I guess. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say now, I'm not going to necessarily predict it to beat that record. And it's a compliment to this year because so far, really strong year for me. I think this is, incredibly strong, and it can only get stronger, I think, with some of the names and countries that are coming up. But do I completely rule this out of being the sneak fit, like 5th place? No, absolutely not. This could work with televote. This could work with jury. This will be a moment on stage in MALMÖ. Also, side note, come to the pre-parties, please. Sylvester, come to London. Yeah, we want to see you there. We want this at Euro clubs as well. Please do. I really enjoy this. And, you also got to factor in Lithuania have that diaspora. They have that consistent fan base around the world, which will give them a little nudge, a little bit of a push compared to some other countries that will be in contention for that top 5. Yeah, it's exciting to have this so much hype around Lithuania. I don't think this will win. I will say that. I don't think this will win. But top 5, I'm not ruling out. Absolutely not. And that's fantastic for Lithuania. That being said, Lithuania do have to first get through the semi-final, and they are in the first half of semi-final 1. So now we go from one Baltic nation to another, and up next it is Estonia, who completed their national final Eesti Lau also on Saturday, and the winners of Eesti Lau, and you're gonna have to forgive me on some pronunciations here, I will do my best. It is Fivminutsk and Pull Up with Nendes Nakute Dimest Etime Kul Midagi. So that was Fivminutsk and Pull Up with, and I'm going to try and say it again, Nendes Kaktug Ti Kum Dinest Eti Mi Kul Midagi. I've probably said that 2 different times, 2 different versions of that. I've done my best. Like, I apologize, Estonians, if I mispronounced that. And they will be Estonia's representatives for MALMÖ in Eurovision 2024. 3 minutes specifically are from Vosu, Estonia. They're one of the most popular acts in Estonia currently in terms of chart success. And this won't surprise you to know that this is officially the longest song title in Eurovision history. I can't remember what this beat. Annoyingly, I should have looked it up. I know this isn't the longest, but I'm pretty sure Social Network song in brackets something else from San Marino and Valentino Netta is fairly high on that list.
Wasn't it like Social Network song brackets ooh ooh ah brackets?
Yeah, it was something like that.
Just to extend it a bit.
Just extend it a bit, yeah, because without the ooh, people wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
But this is officially the new one. I can't. People in the comments, please let me know what this beat because I can't remember off the top of my head. So, Dom, I think it's safe to say that, and I don't mean this in a negative way to the song because we'll get onto my thoughts. This was probably one of the more anticlimactic national finals of the season because with the hype around this song and the popularity of Few Minutes in Estonia, this was fairly likely to win from the outset. So that being said, this is officially the Estonia entry. Estonia have been on a good run recently. They've qualified the last two editions and have been top 10 last year. What do you feel about this as the follow-up to Estonia's current success?
Yeah, so usually we have like the big favorite to win, and then apparently they don't win. In this case, I would have preferred that, to be honest. And I know that you like Ollie, so I think you would be
I do like
fine.
Ollie. I do
Yes,
like
I
Ollie.
think Ollie should have been the representative here. So, but first, it's in Estonian. That's good. I love it.
First time since the contest was last in MALMÖ, actually, in 2013.
Yeah, Birgit was his name, I think.
Yeah, Birgit. Yeah.
Wonderful song. Yeah, Estonian is one of my favorite languages ever. I really love this. And the first seconds kind of reminded me of 500 Miles. You know this one? Exactly. Yes. So it's kind of like pop music, and yeah, I just don't like it though. It's
Wonderful.
just
No.
it's just music I'm not a fan of. Maybe when I'm really drunk and then I'm like, yeah, whatever, and then I'm gonna sing along to it, even though I can't obviously pronounce it, but at least I pretend. But it really is hard to identify for me personally, like a clear chorus. It's just like this shouty whatever it is. I don't know, it's hard to say, and it just doesn't catch me. I don't know. There's something about it which is really something I wouldn't replay, you know? I just watched it and I was like, okay, that's it. Nothing comes up
It is
next.
an acquired taste. This sound, I will
It is
say.
very, very nichey, I think, and maybe it's too nichey, and I really don't get the hype for it.
Okay.
Maybe it's because they are so popular and I missed something about it, like some kind of backstory. I think they're firefighters, right?
Possibly. I can't.
Yes, I think I've read something about
Someone
it.
will correct us in the comments.
Yes, which would have been a nice addition, but still, I have the feeling that I'm just not seeing what others see in it. I'm just like,
I will say the hype might have something to do with the fact that we spent a lot of time with Twan and Polly, who
probably, and they are very biased in that regard.
are diehard SC Lau fans.
Yes,
Hi to both of you if you are listening or watching this
hi.
part of the show.
Yes, which is a pity though, because Estonia used to be one of my favorites ever, like in terms of their selections. I think from 2000, let me guess, like 10 until 19, they were
Okay.
pretty much always in my top 10. And then Uko was there. I really don't like his song, sorry. And Bridges was amazing. Loved
Yeah.
it. Alika was so happy about the top 10, even though like Oli was amazing as well. But Alika, I mean, come on. But this one again is a no for me, and I think it's my least favorite from the Baltics, which is very rarely the case. So yeah, Lithuania, you did it. Congrats.
I will say from the Baltics, this is like a very, in terms of people's general perception, it's a very strong year for the Baltics. I
Yeah.
think Latvia is fairly so like to be your least favorite for many. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I
Mm.
will say just a quick note on Ollie. Man, I'm gutted. Like two back-to-back seconds, man. Like he needs to just go a year where there's not an insanely popular artist which is going to hover up the televote
Yeah.
from name value. It's like keep trying every year, Ollie, and you eventually you will make it because your song quality is fantastic, and I do want you to go to Eurovision. On this song itself, initially I didn't get this. It was in some ways too short, but also a little bit too chaotic.
Hmm.
I did grow to love this though. I do enjoy this. It's very fun. And you know what? People will see this as a troll entry. This is not a troll entry. This is what Estonia charts are. This is the current music they listen to, and it does have some musical element to it. I do like the chorus. I find it quite anthemic. It lifts up a little bit. It's memorable. I will say I would have. It sort of cuts off a bit too soon. I don't know why. It feels short at times, but
Hmm.
it's restrained to 3 minutes. You can't necessarily add anything to this. I I think the performers work. I think the vocals are fine. What I will say when it comes to live performance, they do need to remember in Eurovision, you are catering slightly more to a TV audience rather than the live crowd. I get it
Yeah.
for SD Loud, get it for SD Loud, 100%. You know, cater to that crowd, interact with them. And you could do that a little bit at Eurovision, but you do need to also hit some camera points and just make a little bit more of a show of it rather than just hyping up the crowd in the arena. That will help you a little bit, but you're restraining yourself there. Also, side note, I get Estonian fans. You know, I love your passion for the song, 100% get it. But did you have to whoop throughout the entire performance on Saturday? Like at some points, I would just like to focus on their performance rather than hearing
Mm.
"woo, woo, yeah," like every 3 seconds. You know, like I get it. You have passion. Do it at the start, of the end. All right, you don't have to do it every time. But I digress. I do enjoy this, and you know, Estonia and actually Lithuania as well feel like two countries that are on an upward trajectory when it comes to Eurovision. They feel like on the up, which is nice. It's nice to see new countries in that fold of like popularity.
Mm.
So great to see. When it comes to qualifying chances here, so what would you say that is the ceiling for this? So do you think this will qualify, and how do you see this getting on in the final if you do think this will make it?
Yeah, so I'm like a professional, so I can make a difference between my personal opinion and my prediction.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think this is gonna qualify. I have the feeling it is, because like just about the buzz it kind of creates. I think it's quite popular, and it has a specific target group, and I have the feeling that it might be like the winner for quite a few people, and this is what you need for votes. So I think it's going to qualify. I don't think it's going to be top 10 again. I don't see too
Okay.
much jury appeal in it, to be honest. I can see maybe like 15 to 20th region, which would be fine. At least they would qualify again.
Yeah.
And like keep in mind, Estonia is very small. It's like just over 1 million inhabitants. So I'm always satisfied and always happy to see them qualifying, first of all, and also like they have a really established big national final and or selection in general, with also with semifinals, and they're really into Eurovision, and it's lovely to see. So just being a small country doesn't necessarily mean you are without a chance.
No.
And Estonia is a very good example for this. Always props to them for this.
Yeah, I feel like this is qualifying for me. It's in, I would argue, likely the weaker semi.
Hmm.
Obviously we don't know all the songs, but I think this will likely be in the weaker semi. It's also in the second half, so potential show closer, I would say, for this one. The only concern would be in the semi-final is this is in the same half as Norway and Netherlands, which, you know, not exactly the same style, but could be the chaos could cancel each other out. I don't think it'll be enough to affect, like, it will still come top 10. When it
Hmm.
comes to the actual final itself, it'll be fascinating to see how many of these quirky entries make it into the final, because a
Mm.
lot of them could cancel each other out vote wise. What I will say about this one is I feel like out of all the quirky entries we have, this could have the most jury appeal. Because again, it's not a troll entry. This is legitimate Estonian music.
Hmm.
So some juries will respect that, especially around the Lithuanias, the Latvias, around that area. And also when it comes to the televote, I feel like this could have Moldova 2022 vibes. This could really set a crowd alight when it comes to the energy in that room, when it comes to the performers. And if they get a good running order, then this could attract a good audience. If this performs first in the final, I don't see much. But
Mm.
if this gets like, let's say, second half and like 20th after a couple of ballads, then this could really shine. Really shine. So I'm not going to completely rule out top 10. I do believe if I was to predict like a range, I would probably say, let's say 9th to 17th would be a range. I could say this would finish in. But in the final, yeah, I think Estonia is making it there for the third year in a row. But before they do that, I should maybe say Estonia is performing in the second half of semi-final 2. So now we come on to an entry that at the time of recording was literally revealed today. We did say we potentially would be discussing this country, and thankfully it was released in the morning, so we have had time to listen to this song and react to it today. We are, of course, talking about Belgium. with Musti, who was revealed as the first act, actually, of the 2024 season. And his song has finally been revealed, and it is called Before the Party's Over.
Before the party is over. Before the party is over. Before the party is over.
So that was Musti with Before the Party is Over, Belgium's entry for Eurovision 2024. Musti is from Brussels in Belgium, and as I said, he was the first artist revealed in the 2024 lineup back in August. It was been that long ago, many moons ago, August 2023. Belgium, to be fair, sometimes have got a knack of, especially if they go internal, revealing first. I remember Hooverphonic was the first artist revealed back in 2020, and I feel like Elliot was fairly early revealed. I don't think he was the first, but he was close. So they like to just get out of the way. Let's not have any suspense. So Musti, as I said, first artist revealed. He definitely has a unique style when it comes to song and fashion sense. Definitely not one I could pull off, for example. And he definitely displays that here. This, I would say, in the initial stages, has had a bit of a contrasting reaction to it amongst the fandom, partly because of the annoying leak that happened a couple of days ago. Spoiler, I waited until the actual official reveal because I'm a good boy. What are your thoughts on Belgium this year? Because they're another country coming off a top 10.
Yeah, so first of all, I really like the music video. Like, it's really quality. You can really say that there is a lot of money in it. At least it looks like it, which is something I'm always in favor of because you really want to be engaged and really want to push it and really want to invest in your Eurovision participation. So I'm really a fan of this. I was a bit confused though that Belgium decided to go internal again after Gustav because he finished like seventh or something.
Yeah,
They did exactly. They did like a national selection after like a lot of years with internal, which were like mixed, I would say. Sometimes they didn't qualify, sometimes they did, but barely. Sometimes they did very well, like with Loic or like City Lights. What's the name? Blanche?
Blanche.
Blanche, exactly. So you never know what you're gonna get. And then they established it. I think there was quite a hype about it. And then they did so well, even though the reception was pretty like so in the beginning, I remember. And then they were like, "Oh, it worked so well. Let's go internal again." So that was like, confusing.
I would
I
just say
really
to
don't get
clarify,
this.
the way it works in Belgium is because they switch broadcasters every year.
Yeah.
So maybe just that broadcaster didn't want to do one. But next year when they switch back, they'll go back to an international final. Maybe it'll just be 1 year off, 1 year on.
Yeah,
Who
but
knows?
is it so difficult to just do a national selection as
Clearly so.
well? Obviously it is. It's strange. Anyway, I'm still haven't talked about the song because like it's good, but it's not memorable enough. I have the feeling that it's progressing and progressing and progressing and it's over. And then afterwards you're
Before the
like,
party's over.
yeah, exactly. It's taking it too literally, I think. So I can really see the potential here, but I think they could have done better. I think, like, especially in by the end, they should have changed something to lead the progression, which is very nice, and I like the chorus and I like his voice, but I have the feeling that they haven't fully showed the whole potential of the song, and they had so much time. And I'm thinking about, is this really the best they could have done after like half a year of preparation, pretty much? Because, like we already talked about, since August, we knew that he's going to be the representative. So I'm a bit disappointed, even, I would say. So, yeah, I had higher expectations. However, I'm not sure how he's going to deliver this live because we have only seen the music video so far. Maybe it's going to be different. Maybe he's going to do something which will keep us in mind. But just the song by itself, I'm not fully sure about it.
Okay. That's fair enough. To sort of demonstrate this mixed reception this has had, I actually quite enjoy this song. I feel like, first of all, I love how many like visuals we are getting, not just from this entry, but just in general. Like the visual identity of so many songs this year is already so strong, which is
Mm.
fantastic to see. I don't think he can exactly replicate this, but like the feel, yeah. Well, he can't. I don't think he's going to go on stage in like painted gold. Put it that way. I might be wrong, but he can certainly, adapt this and like keep the feel of this music video because it is very striking. The song
Hmm.
itself, I actually quite enjoy. I like the mixture of his like deep, not raspy but like strong vocals. His vocals give me like a Duncan Lawrence vibe. It's that sort of like pitch,
Hmm.
and then the progression. I quite like the initial choruses, and then the end, the crescendo. I love a little bit of like that crazy crescendo, like I'm here to try and win, that sort of vibe. It's a bit like that in Angelina Mango with La Noia, that craziness at the end where it just really hits. Like I thoroughly enjoy that in a Eurovision song, and this certainly has it. What I think is quite fascinating is with Musty's visual identity, because he is someone that has his own style of outfits and that sort of vibe. It was going to be interesting to see how a different broadcaster would take that. Because put it this way, I'm saying this slightly bluntly, but not in a demeaning way. Gustav is definitely one of the more camper entries that Belgium have had. Like that side of the broadcaster has more that campy style. Like I'm thinking of 2016 as well with What's the Pressure. Like they're more fun dance beat. Whereas like the other side of the broadcaster comes up with like the 2017 entry with City Lights, 2015, and then that's sort of like Hooverphonic as well. That sort of like adult pop. That's more serious style. Not that Gustav and Laura Risotto were not serious, but that, you get what I mean.
Hmm.
Musty, I feel, has sort of almost combined the two. He's got that campiness and that like flamboyant style, but it's also mixed in with that adult, really serious instrumental, that dramatic feel that this current broadcaster currently has.
Hmm.
I like that mix because at the end of the day, you honor the success of the top 10 last year while also sticking to what you usually like to send. I will say the one outfit I don't want Musty to wear is that one where it's got like that black headband with white dots. It just looks like that game where you've got like to have some sticky thing on your head and you've got to throw a ball at the opponent's head. It just looks a little bit like that. If, I,
What are you playing?
so there's a game in the I don't know if it's just in the UK or just like in general. There's a game where like you got to strap something to your head, which has got like elastic like things on
Hmm.
it, and then the aim of the game is your partner throws like a soft ball at your head, and it's got to stick to your head. It's like those those in the UK
Okay.
or like just other people will know what I'm talking about. Please let me know in the comments. There's a few comments I want you to discuss today. This is one of them as well. But like, for me, that look doesn't work. I don't know. Maybe it's just I'm not going to pretend I'm a fashion expert when it comes to this style of dress or like style, but I don't know. I don't think it's a good one. But that being said, so Belgium again on a good qualification streak. They've qualified every year since 2021, so they've got a free qualification streak. How do you feel Musty will get on in this list?
I'm a bit worried because, like, I think this is more leaning to the jury side, and we've got 100% televote. So I have the feeling that it might get lost. I'm not sure about the half. Do you know which half it is?
I was going to say it later, but it's in the second
Yeah,
half.
second half. Okay, that might be a bit better then, because I think otherwise it could have been like a third or fourth in the running order, which is
Interesting. Okay.
quite in danger. Um, I have doubts about the qualification. I'm not gonna lie, especially because, as we already said, it's quite a strong Eurovision year, and I might have the feeling that it's not have enough impact to get people to vote for this. And we also know that diaspora for Belgium isn't the strongest, so they really have to get through with the song, and they have very poor result as well as very strong results. And I think this change of the semi-final system is hurting them, I think. So
Possibly.
even though like I don't dislike the song, I think it's good, but it's just not memorable enough, and I think that's why it might get lost in there.
Okay. I feel like this isn't 100% like safe qualifier, but it's almost there for me. Like at the end of the day, jury songs just mean it might not win the semi. Like this won't win semi-final two, but top 10 out of 16, I could absolutely. There's definitely a few songs already in semi-final two I see this beating, and there's going to be even more like when the final is set. At the end of the day, also you add a striking visual effect to this that you could sort of mirror over to the music video. Easily, this could get some televote support. And at the end of the day, if this gets into the final, then with that jury support, that could really help it here. There's a big range, I think, for Belgium. Because I could easily see this coming top 10. I'll be honest, I could see like 15 songs so far coming top 10 so far.
Always, as always, like, oh, this could have been top 10. Oh, but the top 10, which actually has happened, was so strong. So I don't want to change anything. Well, here we are. That's the struggle.
That is the struggle. So, and also with like the lack of songs we have, it's like it's hard to predict. But
Yeah.
if Belgium comes top 10 in MALMÖ, will I be surprised? No, absolutely not. And Musti seems like an accomplished, seasoned performer, which will help. I see this definitely top 10 jury if this makes the final. That
Mhm.
I'm happy to say. Top 10 jury. Televote, we'll see, because they can sometimes flop a little bit with the televote. Just a little bit.
Mhm.
So it'll be interesting to see. I feel like this could push for top half. That's why I see this coming.
Mhm.
So I see maybe like a 10th to 15th would be where I would have this in my
Yeah.
predictions. But qualifying, I feel fairly confident. It's also in the weaker semi-final as well. So I feel like this is also probably more not calming is the right word, but like traditional pop, which in a semi-final and a half, which features Norway, Netherlands, and Estonia, will help it stand out.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
that's our
that's true.
thought. Yeah, that's our
Yeah.
thoughts on Belgium. As we mentioned, Belgium is in the second half of semi-final 2. And now we come to our next entry. And I'll be honest, this is an entry I did not expect that we will be discussing last week, because if you remember at the end of the episode, I said we'll be discussing 5, maybe 6 entries, the 6th one being Belgium. And then all of a sudden, around, I believe it was Wednesday or Thursday, Poland said, yeah, we're announcing our entry on Monday. I'm like, cool, we'll add Poland into the episode then. We don't mind, the more the merrier, I say. And Poland announced, as we said on Monday, they internally selected the artist Luna with the song The Tower. So that was Luna with The Tower, Poland's entry for Eurovision 2024. Luna is from Warsaw in Poland and actually can play the piano and violin, and her big inspirations in music are Björk and Nick Cave. I'll be honest, I've heard of Björk. Nick Cave is an artist I'm not too familiar with. Are you aware of Nick Cave?
Nick Cave. No, not
No.
really. Mm-mm.
Again, comments. But you've got something for every entry at this point. If you know Nick Cave, let us know about him. I'm sure he's a well-established artist. We just haven't heard of him personally. He hasn't reached the UK scene, put it that way, or the German one, or the German or UK scene. So, Poland, after let's say a controversial national final last year,
Mhm. Baby, honestly.
baby. You know, side note, I am happy it all worked out for Blanca in the end. But yeah, after a controversial national final, they decided to go internal this time, and they decided to slowly trickle in like artists revealing whether they've submitted an entry. So there was a little bit of hype about what certain people wanted to be selected by Poland, but in the end, the Poland jury have decided we're going to send Luna with The Tower. Tom, are you happy with this style of selection and also Poland's entry for this year?
Okay, two separate questions. So about the way they selected it, no, because like apparently you're just like having like, hey, this could have been your entry, and no, it's not. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah,
have no influence at all about the selection. So I really don't like this. So you either really go internal or you go to a national selection where the
I
public has some
remember.
kind
I
of
remember
influence. Yeah.
someone in the comments saying that last year's national selection felt like an internal one, and this year's internal selection felt more like a national one. Which I thought, yeah,
Yeah.
that does make sense.
Yeah, it is true. So, because it always harms the selected song, as it is in this case, because it's always like, oh, we could have have had this one, and even though this might be good as well, we still have the feeling like, oh, we could have had a different one, and we had no influence in it, and that always, I think, always harms the song.
Yeah.
So, no, this is not how you really do it, Poland. But I love the song. I must say, this is one of my favorites. Lithuania and Poland, like my first and second so far, I must say. This is amazing. I really love this, especially because I was able to sing the chorus while the second chorus was on within the first time listening. It was immediately in my head. so catchy. The first 5 seconds, and I was like, yeah, loving it. And this is usually not how it is when I listen to the first time. It's just so catchy. It was in my head the whole day. It was so annoying, apparently. Like, ah,
Did
yeah,
you
this
start
is how.
teaching your? Because spoiler, Dom's a teacher. Did you start teaching your class about towers, like who builds
In
them?
fact, kinda, because I've got like a chess club.
Ah, nice.
Yes, and take a look at the music video. They have like a lot of chess plays in it, and the tower is maybe a reference to it. I don't know,
Yeah,
but kinda, yeah. And I was reminded, like I was teaching them like Bojada, I don't know the English one, where you swap the king and the tower.
I do not know chess play
Oh,
nearly well
okay.
enough to.
So there's a specific way to move these, and you need the tower. Bam, this was in my head the whole time. So coming back to the song, this is just amazing. I really hope you can deliver that live because it might be a bit challenging at some point due to her voice, which is, I say, breathy. It kind of reminds me of Ellie Goulding.
Yeah,
And
I get the reference.
sometimes, yes, and sometimes it might be difficult for a studio track to deliver that live because you sometimes miss the power within your voice because it's very, like, as I've said, breathy and sometimes even whispery, but and even noisy at some point because it kind of sounds like she's singing through her noise a bit. But honestly, I don't care if it's that good. She has a clear visual as well. I love, again, as for Belgium, this also is the same. The music video looks very expensive, and it also looks like something you could transfer to Eurovision for the
Yeah,
staging. I have a clear vision what she is about and what she is or what she likes or what she's want to do on at MALMÖ. And that is very important for me because otherwise it's like, what's the point about the music video if you don't want to get something across? And I think she did. It kind of like in terms of her aesthetics, it kind of reminds me of Lady Gaga a
oh, okay.
bit. Yes, especially like Bad Romance because there's a lot of white and a lot of red in it. So I kind of had this. Um,
First, Ellie Goulding and Lady Gaga, all the blonde
yes,
pop stars. Luna is
exactly.
thinking too.
Yeah, so no shade, but okay, shade. If Baby can come third in the semifinals, I mean, come on, guys. This is so much better, I think. And this is gonna qualify, I'm pretty sure, because ordinary Eurovision viewers won't know about this controversy about, oh, we could have had Stina with the Saga Witcher. So who cares about by the end? Because this is the
Yeah.
representative. And yeah, I'm really hyped for this. This is gonna be my playlist, like non-Eurovision playlist.
Oh,
And
good.
like that's a sign. I really like this.
It's a really good sign. Yeah, I mean, as you touched on there, a lot of people wanted, especially in the Eurovision fandom, The Witcher to go to Eurovision. Actually, to be honest, I haven't heard The Witcher in full because I was going to wait if in case it got selected. I mean, I only lost the jury by 1 point, so I'll have a listen to it at a later point. When it comes to this entry, first of all, side note, Blanca wasn't really affected by the drama from last year, and it feels like it's slightly less this year. So I wouldn't factor that into Poland's result. For me, this is a nice song that I enjoy. I enjoy Poland's entry. It's pleasant. My problem is I'm not wowed. I'm not wowed by it. This is not the kind of entry which is going to make me pick up the phone or like go on Eurovision's app and vote for it. As a song, I'm talking about here. It's like it has power, but it feels almost too subtle. And I usually like subtle power, but I don't know. It feels too quiet at points. I feel like the verses and the chorus sort of jump a little bit too quickly into each other. I maybe would like a bit more of a bridge in between one or two of them. That being said, it's like it's solid enough. It feels like a harmless good entry. Something that you hear on the radio, fun, pleasant, better than It's not near the bottom of my ranking or anything like that. It's if anything, it's quite mid-table. But I don't know. I like it, but I don't love it. That's my sort of problem. I prefer it to solo last year. Just to clarify, don't worry about that, Tom. I
Okay,
prefer
you're
it to solo.
forgiven now. I was
Yeah,
about
yeah.
to
I prefer.
rage, but that's fine now.
I do prefer it to solo. It's nice, and yeah. So you mentioned about your chances of qualifying. So you think it will qualify?
Yeah.
If it got to the final, how would you see it getting on?
Difficult. So it really depends on the performance. So it can go either way. It can maybe go too flat when it's not vocally delivering. And also if the music video isn't like transferred into the staging or at least like the aesthetics, what she's want to do. I hope that all works out. But apparently it did last year because I must say like the staging was pretty fine for solo, even though like I didn't like the song or the vocals. But anyway, so I think it really depends on that. But then it really has got potential. I would vote for this. For me, this is like initiate like,
Germany's voting in the semi-final, Dom. Germany is voting.
is it? Oh,
Yeah.
tempting. Okay, nice. And also like let's be real, Poland has got some diaspora, and I
Yeah.
think it's memorable enough and catchy enough to get it through. And then in terms of the jury, I can see a lot of points there as well, actually. I
More
think
than
it might
Bebe.
be
More than Bebe.
more than Baby, which was bottom 5, I think.
It was,
Maybe
yeah, it was around there.
very low. I think it's definitely going to be better than that. And I think like maybe it can scratch in like top 10 for both and be like a solid 10th place or something. I could see that.
Interesting.
And I would really like that to happen because, as again, I really like the song.
Yeah, interesting. I feel like I have a bit less confidence in qualifying with this one, and I'll put it this way: it's in semi-final one, and I've just got up the list now of who's in also semi-final one. You've got Croatia, who could send something definitely televote appealing. You've got Ireland with their unique style. You've got Lithuania. You've got Ukraine. You've got Serbia, who always do well with the televote. You've got Australia, who send usually quality. You've got Finland, who will, song appearance aside, televote friendly. You've got Iceland, which has its own potential televote links for reasons we won't discuss in this podcast. You've got, and then you've also got Slovenia with Raven and her unique style. And then obviously you got factor in other countries that would, might send something good. I don't know if it's a safe qualifier. I don't know. It's a good song. It's a good. If the ruling is solo qualified, so this has to, then yeah, I put this in the final. But it doesn't work like that, sadly. The one thing that will benefit is the diaspora. Ireland's in the semi-final. Lithuania is in the semi-final. UK is voting in this semi-final. And this does have some good diaspora, similar to Lithuania.
And Germany as well, I think.
Germany's voting in the semi-final, yeah, so that will help it. So there will be countries that you go, oh, okay, that will give them a little bit of a head start, but it doesn't guarantee your spot in the final at the end of the day. So I don't know. Personally, if this made the final, because at the end of the day, only 5 songs don't make the final from this semi, very possible that this makes it in. If this makes the final, I don't know if I see this coming top half. I feel like this will be a song that's there. I don't know. I can't see any higher than 18th, sadly. Which is probably similar to where Blanca came. I know you would be gutted if Blanca finished higher.
Okay, so
than
Blanca
Lou.
was 18th. Let's aim for 17th. I would be okay
Aim
with that.
17th with 1 more point than Blanca got. Let's go with that.
Perfect.
So I'm a little less confident on this than maybe you are, but could this qualify? Absolutely. I need to see the rest of the songs in this semi-final to create my judgment, though. But that being said, as we mentioned, Poland is in the semi-final one, and it will be performing in particular in the first half as well.
And now it's time for
Okay, we gotta go.
30 seconds.
And now we come to another edition of OK, Gotta Go 30 Seconds, as always inspired by our golden boy from 2015. Now, obviously, Dom, you've already taken part in this game, but you can't have another go at the countries. That's unfair. You've got to mix it up a bit. So we've now got a new version of this game, as we've been doing now for the last few editions, centered around the years of Eurovision. So, Dom, for you, if you need a refresher on the rules, and for those who are potentially new to the show, I have the last 15 years of Eurovision in a random order, assigned also each number. Dom, you will have to pick a number between 1 and 15, and then you will get 30 seconds to name as many entries from that year as possible. And you will give me the song title to do that. You don't have to give me the artist, and obviously don't give me the country because that would be basically you're not doing the game at that point. You could get 30 from just naming countries.
Mhm.
So, as like last time, you have some lifelines. The first one is year restart. So if you're completely stuck on whatever year you're on, just say another number and then, we'll change the year, go from that year. The next one is winner check. If at any point you want to get the juices flowing and figure out who won that year, ask me and I will tell you the country. And then the final one is a variant on year restart called recency biased. So, Dom, if you would prefer a more recent year, guaranteed, I should say, recent year guaranteed, you can say the phrase recency biased, then a number between 1 and 5, and then you will get one of the last 5 years of Eurovision. So 2019 onwards. The only downside to using that is all your points will be halved from then.
So
So
I
there's
could lean like I have a result like 0.5 points.
yes, there could be decimals. There could be decimals in this. Yeah.
Disappointing or like either scary. But okay.
I will say you'd be the first. No one's got decimals yet. And then the only other rule you need to know is there's a bonus point option with this. So, Dom, you can say the entries from a certain year in any order you like. However, if you want to show off or potentially get some more points, if you can name me at least the top 5 of a year in order, then all your points that you name in order of where they finished will be doubled. So the example I always give is if you name entries 1 through 7 in order, then you will get 14 points. And after 5, you can go in whatever order you like. So you can go 1 through 7, and then entry 32. You'll get 15 points because you get the double and then just 1 onwards. The caveats with that rule is you can only do that for 1 year. So you can't name the top 5 of 1 year, then use year restart and name the top 5 of another. Admittedly, very impressive if you do that, but you can't do that. And then the final thing with that is if you get the year 2020, sorry, you can't do that bonus point option. I did try and think of a way of incorporating that in, but it's just too complex.
Maybe just multiply it 1.5 anyways.
No. As you know, your time will start when you hear the year, and your time will end when you hear the following.
Okay, hit the end.
So, Dom, you have obviously had a go at this previously. And you know what, Dom? You're one of the few people that when playing the country version did not score 1 point. So you
was quite fine, right?
Well, you scored 3 points, which actually put you in joint 6th. So not too bad.
I remember that I knew more Montenegrin entries than Finnish ones.
Yeah, that was slightly bizarre. Because I'm pretty sure Cha 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 was out at that point as well.
That was the one I knew.
That's what you knew. You were struggling with Erasmus.
Yeah,
so now it's more about years. How are you feeling? Are you feeling more confident or just as terrified?
I just don't want to come last. But I have the feeling that I knew some song for some years. So I should be fine, I think.
You should, yeah.
And I've got a few countries which I think I know all the songs. So I usually have some kind of backings in terms of that. So I can always refer to this. And I'm pretty sure I know the winner. Don't quote me on this. But I think I do. So
we will see.
try.
Well, we'll see. Famous last words potentially. But you said you don't want to come last. Let's have a look at the scoreboard to see where you're up against. So we have 7 people take part so far, all with unique scores actually so far, which is quite satisfying to see. So in 7th place with 3 points, it's Samuele. In 6th place with 4, it is Chris. In 5th place with 5, Jess. 4th with 6 points, it is Tommy. 3rd with 7, it's Twan. 2nd with 8, it's Dylan. And in 1st place with 12, it is actually your fellow countryman in Jana. So the Germans so far have been doing well in this competition. So you'll have to see if you can continue that streak.
Let's change that. No, I'm kidding.
No.
Well,
one of the Germans has to live up to the Eurovision traditions, I suppose. No, let's see how you get on. I mean, Italy's down there with Samuele, so that makes no sense. Dom, can you give me a number between 1 and 15?
Okay, 10.
Number 10. Okay. So I have the list of entries from that year that is corresponding to number 10. So, Dom, you will have 30 seconds to name as many entries from, and I feel that there's a bit of a link to this year with you. 2011. Go.
Okay, so the winner was Running Scared. Then we've got Madness of Love. We've got Popular. We've got Angel. And I got the fifth one. Oh god, New Tomorrow, I think. Then maybe like Dance Together from Greece. The Power of Love from Austria or something like that. Rockefeller Street, my favorite. Shit.
Okay,
Yeah.
happy end.
That's it. Was okay?
First person to do the bonus point option. Well done, Dom. Well done. I do have to clarify some admin because sadly I couldn't allow some of them because you got the name wrong. Basically, the Greek entry that year was called "Watch My Dance," which I don't think was
Something
close
with
enough.
dance. Damn.
It wasn't close enough to what you were saying. And also, Austria was called "The Secret Is Love." So
Secret
again,
is
it was a bit too dissimilar to what you were saying. Obviously, Rockefeller Street, you got correct.
I forgot Germany, by the way.
Germany. It's not like you host. It's not like that was the year you hosted or anything like that as well. with your with last year's winner.
After the introduction, I was preparing myself for 2010. And then you were like 11. I'm like, oh, F you, honestly.
It's not like you could have gone with the same artist or anything like that. No.
Yeah. I was so focused on this first top 5. So I was like,
Well,
Yeah,
you did get the top 5 in order, which means your points were doubled up to a point. Obviously, you didn't go onwards after, so it stopped then. So, Dom, after that, you scored, and I don't know how you're going to feel about this. You scored a grand total of 11 points, which means you narrowly miss out on the top spot. You are in second place currently. The two Germans at the top of the leaderboard currently. When was the last time in a Eurovision context we said that? It's been a little while. How are you feeling? That's a fantastic score. 11 points.
Very happy that I got this streak. That was my strategy, to get through this.
It's an easy way to get to 10. It's an easy if you do it, It's just a shame you couldn't just name some random ones after that because there's 43 entries that year.
Afterwards, I was like, I don't know, I was stressed, but I'm good.
Yana, that's the first person to do the bonus point option. Yana managed to get 12 entries. That's
No. Oh wow. Okay.
That's insane, but fair play. So the current leaderboard after that is 8th place with 3 points Samuele, 7th is Chris, 6th is Jess, 5th Tommy, 4th Twan, 3rd Dylan, a new 2nd place with 11 it's Dom, but narrowly missing out. We almost had an overtake of the lead. I probably would have given you the lead on tiebreak because you got the bonus point option, but we would have worked that out. But out in first, narrowly, while she's on that boat that she's currently on, I'm sure celebrating this, it is Yana. That concludes another edition of OK Gotta Go 30 Seconds. So now we come to more countries, 3 more we will be discussing today. And up next is the one that our guest has, let's say, a close connection to. It is Germany, who completed their national final on Friday. And they will be represented by Isaac with the song Always on the Run. So that was Isaac with Always on the Run, Germany's entry for Eurovision 2024. Isaac is from Minden in Germany, and he took part in the German X Factor back in 2011. So a very significant year hosting the contest. Dom predicted saying the entries from that year as well. A lot of significance there. Is this a sign? Is this a sign, I say? Anyway, it's safe to say that Germany are not necessarily the best country at Eurovision. I think that's a fair statement, despite where you're from, Tom.
Bold statement. Wow.
It's a bold statement. The statistic is since 2015, apart from 2018, you've come bottom 2 every single year, and you are on a streak of back-to-back last places with Lord of the Lost and Malik Harris. At least neither got 0. At least neither got 0 points. So you got to look at the.
pretty much impossible with this new voting system, but we will get there.
Oh, I was going to say, Dom, I am a Brit.
Okay.
But Isaac was selected on Friday. What are your thoughts as a German about him being the representative for your country?
Typical. Like, always go for the safe road. I have the feeling that this is like the safe option. This is like, yeah, it's fine. It's okay. It's radio friendly. Yeah, which he did for the last like 10 years, I think. Pretty much, with a few
yeah.
exceptions, obviously, with a lot of last, especially because it was so different. I was not expecting a last place finish there. But usually it's like this kind of song we usually go for. And even though the results were devastating, we're still going for this. It's very confusing because we had options and we just don't take them, and it kind of annoys me. So positive. He seems like a nice guy. His voice is very distinctive. He knows how to sing, and the chorus is nice. But again, nice is not enough, I think. And I'm just sad because I know we're gonna be bottom three again. I'm very, very certain, actually. I don't have any hopes for this because again, it's not no one's favorite, I think. It's always
Yeah.
like okay. And we obviously don't seem to learn it.
No.
And currently I'm in my giving up phase where I just take it as it is and just waiting for a miracle to happen. But for this year, like I'm done. Like I'm like usually I watch Eurovision together with friends, and then I will prepare them for the result ready, which I usually try to avoid, and I'm always trying to get them like, hey, just focus on your favorite songs, and it really doesn't matter where your country places. But in the end, it kind of does. It's always the
Yeah.
first thing which comes into your mind, like, oh, this one, and oh, Germany came last or second to last again, and it's very, yeah, annoying and disappointing, because
Yeah, no,
of course,
I completely relate as a Brit.
yeah, because you want, of course, I don't want like, of course it would be nice, but I don't expect like a top 10 finish or something. But at least out of the bottom two,
Like
this is the
you would take like an
benchmark.
18th or something.
Yes, like
That'd
an
be incredible.
Ilaisa.
Yeah.
They did like this. This was the second best result in the last 10 years. Yes,
God.
that's rough. I
Yeah.
know,
Is
but
it
I
right
just
or is
want
it
to
wrong?
like
It's very wrong. It's
it's
very
pretty
wrong.
wrong. I just want this kind of placement where it's like, well, we did decent, now let's focus on the rest. But since the focus on the spotlight is so much on, oh, is Germany last again? I kind of have a feeling that it's now a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like everyone's expecting it, and then it's gonna happen,
Yeah.
And again, we have or we had alternatives. I think, oh boy, from Riek could have been at least top 10. I think he would be very, very high. I think he could have smashed the jury votes. I'm pretty certain about it because it just screams jury bait. I think he vocally he was amazing. And
Yeah.
also I think televote would be quite appealing and not getting blanked as we usually do or get. But again, this one is just middle on the road. And yeah, that's all I can say, honestly.
Yeah.
As you
No,
can see, I'm very
I
like annoyed.
you know what? I feel like before I go into my thoughts on the song, Rick is probably the biggest missed opportunity so far this national final season. I look, televote's one thing. You vote for whoever you like. What are the juries seeing that makes this fifth place? What are they
Katze
seeing?
was better than an oh boy.
I don't get it. The Oh Boy was exceptional as a performance, as a vocal, as a song. I love this. Oh Boy, like put it this way, Germany would be a lot higher in this speaking order if you sent Oh Boy. It would also be a lot higher in my ranking. Like, yeah, I'm gutted. Like, right, come back. You've got a fantastic voice. You clearly have an art for songwriting. Like, yeah, this was fantastic. Real missed opportunity, I feel, for Germany to cement themselves back in a credible position in that national final, in Eurovision, sorry, in the grand final. The song itself, though, because this has received a fair bit of backlash to winning. I don't think it's as bad as people say. As a song, I'm putting this in isolation. This is the kind of thing I would listen to. I like the rag and bone man feel, I like the raspiness, And
Mhm.
as a performance, he performs this very well. He's got a fantastic voice, Isaac. Obviously, LEDs, it's all like the background stuff. You do need to elevate that. There was pretty much
Mhm.
nothing there.
Yeah.
But that comes with time. That comes with, elevation if you want it to. The problem I have is there's nothing like this will be on my playlist. This will be a song I enjoy. This won't be my first. This won't be my second. This won't be my third, fourth, fifth. Like, it's not going to be in a range where I will vote for this. This is the problem with Germany entries, and a lot of the time the UK ones as well, where we send good songs. We don't send half the time. We do not send bad songs. I don't think we just send middle of the road ones because
Mhm.
in our heads we're like, well, if we send middle of the road, it means we'll come like 17th. No, 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 no. Because there are 17 countries that are trying to send winning songs. So if you send middle of the road, it pushes you right down to near the bottom. Like UK and Germany constantly have this problem,
Mhm.
and it's infuriating when people don't learn. That's the
Mhm.
problem. I will say, much prefer this to Max, your runner-up. If he'd have gone, nah, I'm sorry. I know.
And I just looked at the numbers. It was very close.
Yeah,
Very
very.
close because like 10, he was second in the jury, and it was like 12-10 because they transformed the votes
Yeah,
into
that was an interesting one.
specific.
I never liked that.
I hate this, first of all, and second, like the margin was only 3,000 votes. I think Isaac got 110,000, and Max 107,000. And I'm pretty sure
That's too
televote
close
would
for
have been the
comfort.
deciding. That's very, very close.
Like,
And he by
yeah.
far won the televote. So Isaac won the SMS and the online voting. And this is the reason why he won. So it was very close.
Yeah, I mean that's a bit too close for comfort. With Isaac, I have a small bit more faith because we'll get. What, I'll discuss a bit more in predictions. Obviously, because we'll move on to that now. We mentioned Germany's track record. You mentioned that you feel that this will likely come bottom three. Do you see a world where it doesn't come last?
Like a way it doesn't come last, or what do you mean?
Yeah, like, are you sort of because
Well,
you've consigned yourself to bottom three? Do you feel
yeah.
like this is the likely last? Is it? Is
I don't
it
want to be
like?
shady, but I don't think Spain is very competitive. It's gonna be in the final, so I've got some hope there. Sorry,
You
Clara.
well,
Um,
look, I completely relate. Like we always look at we probably look at each other usually like what's the other one sending for like last place comparisons.
yeah,
I remember
I
in
must.
2020. I remember in 2020 when France released their entry, which I thought was generic as hell. Tom League best of you. I was like, oh, that could be a good thing for the UK. We might not come last anymore. But no, I completely get it. It's not being shady.
Yeah, so Italy is very, very good, obviously.
Yeah,
And
Italy and
if,
France, I don't think are going to be near the bottom somehow.
yeah, even though I really don't like France, I think it's very boring. But I think it's gonna get a lot of jury votes. I've got a feeling. So these are out of the way. UK, I mean, if Ollie, I love Years and Years, I love them. If they get like in the bottom 3 or 5, I would be like
What I
furious.
will say with Ollie is because obviously we'll discuss the UK in a sec. What
Mm.
I will say about Ollie is I feel like just his international fame will keep him out of that bottom three, regardless if the song quality isn't as like hyped
Yeah,
as
bottom
maybe people
three,
want it to be.
yes, but not like maybe if he's flopping because we had some established big names flopping in that regard around
We
this
have, but it's
18th
like
to
Ollie will
22nd
bring a
place.
stage. Ollie will bring a stage show as well. Like
Yeah, I hope so. But
I have
then
confidence he won't come bottom three. Put it that way.
yeah, and then we've got like Sweden who
Oh
don't know
yeah, I'm
what.
sure they'll come last. Yeah,
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 Sweden is
yeah.
like they don't know what the right hand side means, and if so, it's 14th. And yeah, and then it's Spain and Germany, the only like definite qualifier, like because we're rich
Yeah.
or big, in the final. And then I'm like, there's hope. We could beat Spain. But honestly, besides that, I don't see any way that this is gonna get a specific amount of points where it's gonna get out of this danger
Yeah.
last place zone. I don't see any reason why it should. Because even though we said the voice is good, is it that good that you vote for it within the field of 26 songs? I really don't think so. I
You
really
don't
don't think
know.
because it takes more than that. And just relying on the voice, I mean they're all singers, and that is not a reason just to vote for them, you know?
No.
And yeah, I don't see it happening.
You don't see it. Well, I will give you one element of optimism and like something that could help Germany a little bit. This could be a very quirky final. especially with televote and some of the songs that will be in there.
Mhm.
Isaac's radio-friendly, good voice with a slightly elevated staging could have some jury appeal. Not saying it will win the jury appeal. It's not necessarily going to come top 10, but like I could see Germany in the jury, depending on who votes, coming like 17th, 18th, maybe. That could be enough to get you out of last place. Like, put it this way, although on the contrast, I know we don't know all the songs in the final. I would be very surprised if this wasn't last with the televote. I don't know what else would come last, sadly. Definitely not out of the automatic qualifiers, and probably anything that comes from a televote only semi-final is unlikely to flop that badly with the televote in the final. So for me, I don't see the televote appeal there because I feel like everyone might have this like 15th as highest. I'm not saying we'll come zero. I'm not saying we'll get 0 points, but last I think is quite likely. So when it balances out, I don't see Germany doing that well. Like this will not come top 20.
No.
But this might not come last. And I feel bad saying that because it feels very looking down. But it's like that's probably the best you can hope for at the moment, just not last. If you come, I think for you, let's not come last or 25th, because then you've broken your streak of coming bottom 2 for like X amount of time if you ignore 2018. But that I would say is our thoughts on Germany. Obviously, we don't have to discuss Germany where they are in the semi-final because, like all the other Big Five in Sweden, they are already in the grand final. So now we come on to another country, and up next we go to our only Nordic entry of this selection in Denmark, and they are being represented by Saba with the song Sand. So that was Saba with Sand, Denmark's entry for Eurovision 2024. Saba was actually born in Ethiopia, but originates in Ringobing, Denmark. Sorry if I've mispronounced that, Danish fans. She's actually also the first black singer to represent Denmark in Eurovision history. So a very good historic landmark for Saba. So Dom, we talk about countries that are not necessarily great at Eurovision at the moment. Denmark is on I believe, 3 non-qualification streak. They haven't qualified since the pandemic, put it that way. They're not on the best of run. What are your thoughts on Saba and Sands, though, as continuing on the Denmark lineage? Is this an upgrade on what they previously sent, or is it more of the same?
So first of all, I can't believe that Love is Forever. It's the last final participation.
I can't believe that qualified. Sorry, like no disrespect to it.
Sorry,
Like,
Denmark. That was just bad.
Like, what's
Like,
fascinating is
really
it came
bad.
10th in the semi-final, then 12th in the actual contest. Like, how does that work?
Wow, Europe. Why? Honestly,
Yeah.
they didn't qualify with better. Honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Denmark is rough, really, because they used to be so strong. I had 2011, and I reminded myself like Denmark was good, so I guess they were like top 5, and that's why I mentioned it, right? And they won in 2013, but I think since then it was going like downhill slowly but steady, and now they're in the danger zone of not qualifying, like mostly, and you're not
Yeah.
expecting them, which kind of is reflected in the reception, I think, because they've got like Dance Melody Grand Prix. Just looking at the views, so low. Like sometimes, well,
Not
good for you.
Blanca Solo. Not Blanca Solo, actually. Isn't like
Yeah.
Solo.
Just saying, because like they released like their performances, and others have got thousands, if not 100,000 of views. Just take a look at Italy. Of course, Denmark is a smaller country, but sometimes I have the feeling that our videos have more views than their channel. So there's absolutely
Yeah.
no buzz about the selection. No one really cares, which is like such a pity, because it's also pretty established, like it is for Melodi Grand Prix or Melodi Festivalen. Dance Grand Prix is also quite like going on for quite a while. But
Yeah.
it's just unnoticed the whole time. No one really pays attention. And yeah, that's always a very bad start, because I have the feeling that the Danish public, or like the Danish people, don't really care about their entry, which sucks, because at least don't like your entry, but at least it's kind of a reaction. If you don't react to your entry at all, that is pretty much the worst you can get, right? Anyhow, so Send. I like it. Especially like the delivery on stage. That was the first thing which came into my mind. I love the staging, especially like the lighting effects they put on. That was really impressive.
Yeah.
Please do that. Do this at least certain parts, especially
Keep
like
keep the key components is what you're trying to say.
yes, like the second half of the performance was absolutely amazing in terms of the visuals. I loved it so much. I had the feeling that in the beginning of her final performance that she was very nervous and weak in the beginning, but she was comfortable um, when the song was going on. And vocally, like by the end, she was really nailing it. She was very, very good. It's like a very modern song. Maybe the chorus is not the most memorable because he's literally just saying "sad, sad, 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 sad."
Well,
So
it's
it's
very
like,
memorable. So, you know, if you're remembering its fact, it says sad.
yes, but not in terms of oh, it's so catchy, but it's so simple, you know. Um,
Yeah.
so it's not too hard to remember in terms of that. But I'm not sure if it's gonna get Denmark out of the nightmare zone, you know.
The nightmare zone.
The nightmare zone. We're going back here.
That sounds like that sounds like something you'd hear on a like a game show. You are in the nightmare zone, Stephen.
Exactly. And this is like kind of song like I like it, and I would like to see it qualifying, but in the end it doesn't, you know.
Yeah, I
Um,
can see that. I think
yeah, maybe a bit
my
like Germany as well. It's like nice, it's good. I prefer this over Always on the Run, I must say.
interesting.
But I'm not that confident if this is gonna qualify.
No, I feel like first of all, Dance Melody Grand Prix. Maybe ever since I've started watching it, because I started watching Eurovision, like the national finals in 2019, has to be the definition of the most mid-national final ever.
Yeah.
The amount of like, it's like all the songs are like this level. None of them are great, none of them are bad. Like 2020 is a good year because I like Yes, I like Humans, I like. There's one other song which I've forgotten, but like it's probably the strongest year of Dance Melody Grand Prix. Denmark
Without an audience.
without an audience. Well, speaking of audience, remember when this national final was in like a big arena and you had the
Yeah.
iconic Dance Melody Grand Prix stage?
Exactly.
It shows how much it's fallen off since the pandemic. Like you can't afford
Yeah.
that biggest
Yes.
that bigger crowd. That is so symbolic of Denmark in Eurovision at the moment. They used to be a really good powerhouse in the contest, like almost regularly like a consistent qualifier. Now they're not. They're nowhere near that level now. But on this song itself, this was the best option they could have sent, I believe, Denmark, out of the 8 songs. Love the staging. The staging elevates it massively for me. It's a decent enough song without it. It's a bit Melfest rejecty, sadly, the song itself.
I literally wrote down semi-finalist of Melody Festival. I literally,
Yeah,
I
it's
wasn't,
like-
I didn't dare to say it, but you did. So.
It's a bit like maybe scrape through the second chance, but or whatever it's called now in Malfest. But the staging really elevates this. Love the lighting effects. I always love a good lighting effect, and this certainly has it. So that's what the USP is. That's what this is. Really good staging, and also it's just there is an audience for this, like fairly safe but anthemic, powerful Eurovision style song. So that's where people appeal to this. This for me is the best entry Denmark have sent in a few years. Didn't like last year. Found the show very mid.
Yeah.
And people, to be fair, 2021 did have its audience. It wasn't completely for me, but I understand why people like it.
Yeah. No. Thank you.
This is its best chance of qualifying. So, do you feel like if you had to put money on it now? I know you said you weren't sure. Do you think Denmark is going to get back into the final potentially this year?
So if I would be the deciding factor, I would let them qualify because I must say, like,
Let them get in. Come on.
Yeah, let them just get them.
Just
No,
for fun. Let
For
them in.
now, we've got 3 out of the 5 Scandinavian entries, and this is my favorite so far because I hate Norway. I must say, you know, that's my dead last.
Boo! Boo!
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna stay there. And Finland is just too gimmicky. I really
Yeah,
can't
that's fair.
take it seriously. So this is my favorite so far in terms of the Scandinavians. And I don't want to imagine a final just with Sweden just because they're the host. So you always need some Scandinavian.
Well, put it this way: the last time Sweden hosted, all the Scandinavians failed to qualify.
All of them. I think one of them did. I think Norway did.
Norway didn't. That was the year of icebreaker, so they didn't qualify that year.
Wait.
So then, yeah, Norway had Icebreaker, Iceland had Hear Them Calling, Finland had Sing It Away, Denmark had Soldiers of Love.
Oh, I didn't notice because I remember that when Norway was the host, only like Sweden didn't qualify. Iceland didn't qualify, I think. No, they
Iceland
did.
did, Je ne sais quoi.
I think that's the one who did, and then Denmark as well. But
Yeah,
like
Denmark
Sweden,
did. They came like fourth, Denmark.
yeah, but like Sweden and Denmark, they
Sweden
both
and
didn't
Iceland didn't qualify. Sweden and Finland. Sweden and Finland did
Finland,
qualify.
exactly.
Anyway, that's the Nordic law. Anyway,
Yeah.
we digress.
Exactly. So, yeah, I don't know. If they do, it's like 10th or 9th, and it's gonna be like bottom 5, I think, in the final. I don't think it's gonna make a big impact, but seeing her qualifying would be nice. I would like that. Yeah.
So I think for me, it's good that Denmark has a chance. I feel like this is their best opportunity in a few years. I'm
Yeah.
not going to rule this out. Absolutely. If they bring that staging to MALMÖ, easily could stand out. If this had juries in the semi-finals, I would actually probably say this is likely a qualifier.
Yes.
I think juries would appreciate this, the
Mm.
staging anyway. And Saba's vocals are also very good.
Mhm.
Telebo, I'm less convinced. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, and I'll actually look now what Nordic countries are voting in that semi-final. You've got Norway, and that's it. that could be an issue there. There's others like around like that sort of area of the world. You've got Austria voting in that semi-final. You've got Belgium. You've got Netherlands. They might give them some points. That could help them, and France maybe as well. I don't know. Like we're stretching here potentially. I would say.
It's getting random right now.
I'm just thinking about that geographically, but this has a chance. I feel like. I'm not going to say for certain. I'm similar to you. I think like this, maybe, you know what, if this got in the final, I could see this coming as high as like 15th, especially with like a good jury appeal. So where this comes in the semi-final might be a bit misleading if it ends up qualifying. It could do better than expected. But like Love Is Forever from 2019, which is... So we'll see. But I think Denmark, definitely best option for them. Let's see how this gets on, because I'd like to see Denmark back in the final. They do have a sort of a Eurovision heritage in not in recent years, but like in the 2000s, for example. They've won twice in the 21st century.
Yes, and they were like one of the first countries participating ever at Eurovision.
Exactly.
They have a lot of history, so yeah.
It'd be nice to also see them. I mean, also Denmark is like what 30 minutes away from the host city. It's basically a home Eurovision for them, so it'd be great to see them in the final. It's a good thing Saba doesn't have to travel that far as well. But Denmark will not be automatically in the final, despite being pretty much a host of this year. They will be performing in the first half of semi-final 2. So now we come on to our final entry in this list, and we turn our attention to Moldova, who will be represented by Natalia Barbu with the song In the Middle. That was Natalia Barbu with In the Middle, Moldova's entry for Eurovision 2024. Natalia is from Balti in Moldova. Apologies if I've mispronounced that. And she actually has represented Moldova before in 2007 with the song Fight, which finished in the top 10, actually in 10th place. This is the 7th year Moldova has sent a returning artist to the contest, and the 5th year in a row, if you count 2020 and 2021 as like 1 and 2. It's like the last time they didn't send a returning artist was in 2019. Like, that's insane. And it's not even on purpose, even. So, obviously, bit of expectation, I would argue, with Moldova in recent years. They've sort of on the up overall. That really good result in 2022, and also just a steady level of qualifying. I believe they've qualified since 2017. They've only missed the final once, so they are a sleeper good country at Eurovision. What are your thoughts on this entry continuing the lineage of Moldovan recent success?
Yes, I think Moldova only has 2 options in general: very quirky ones or very serious drama.
Very serious, yeah.
And this is the latter. This is like drama. I need drama, and I need ethnic as well, because it has got this, which is probably the strongest suit or the strongest point about the song. That considering the songs we have in the mix since now, there aren't as many ethnic ones as
No.
usually. Yeah, and this is probably why it could stand out. However, I think it's not the strongest song. It's maybe also considering the national selection, even though like I'm happy that they're doing it, and I think they're good doing it for quite some time. And it shows that you don't need a big budget to participate and do quite well. It still lacked in terms of the quality. It was looking pretty cheap, I think. They're trying their best, but I don't think this is like doing them justice. So I can imagine a big change, and also like in terms of the quality when it comes to Eurovision. So it's really hard to judge pretty much her
Yeah.
on that. However, we kind of do, and that's what we're here.
That's
So
what we're here for, guys.
exactly. So yeah, it's okay, but usually Moldova tends to flop with these kind of songs, and they are very good when they are very like quirky. If you put like, for example, like Sugar, which is like a meme in 3 minutes. These songs kind of are pretty well in the result because she did good. Or also when there's a lot of choreography in it, like Dorino in 2018, I think. These kind of songs are usually very good for them. Or like Hey Mama as well. But this kind of gives me this. I can't remember the name, but I have no feelings of mercy vibe.
Yeah, I know what you mean. 2014.
Yes, and that was, I think that was last.
Yeah,
last
dead
day.
last, dead last.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And it kind of gives me that because it's very
Yeah.
like, yeah, very dark, very dramatic, as I've said. And I don't think it's going to be that appealing. Also,
No.
yeah, you know this Eurovision scoreboard
Yeah, it's last
thing?
place, isn't it?
It's last place.
Yeah.
And usually Moldova has some kind of fans, and it's lower than Albania, it's lower than Germany. So I'm not sure about the qualification here. So it might be a final without Moldova in this case.
Maybe. To be perfectly honest, like, first of all, that you hit a nail on the head. Moldova, serious or quirky. And you know
Yeah.
what? They always do well with quirky and bad with serious. 2013 is the exception. With
I was just about to
serious.
say, and that was
2013
so good.
That was great. That was great.
Yeah.
I loved Moldova last year. Pasha Fafani with Swalaleshi Luna, one of my favorite songs of last year. For me,
That
this
was
is a
serious. Was it quirky?
So for me, it was a bit of both, which is why it sort of came like 18th or
Yeah.
around there. Around. So yeah, it's a bit of both. That's why it's sort of a healthy middle.
And it underperformed by
But
the
it was,
end. I think,
yeah, but it was a bop at the end of the day.
yes,
So
it was a very good
you could
song.
sort of really good song. Happy it did, yeah, got to the final.
Mhm.
But with this, it's like I feel nothing when I listen to this song. Like it's just there for me. For me, the chorus sounds a bit like if flies started singing. It's like it's like the buzzing sound effect. I don't know. I love Fight as well from Natalia Babu. This is nowhere near as good. And also, I'm sorry, I hate the staging. I think it sucks. And I'm not usually this harsh on staging, but like this is the definition of a gimmick for the sake of having a gimmick.
Mhm.
You know, what's the point of having this like violins and then the clapping all in symmetry? It's like it has no relation to the song whatsoever.
Yeah.
It doesn't even look that cool. Looks a bit weird. You know, it's some sort of dystopian, like we will vote for you now. It's like I don't know, it doesn't make sense. And
Yes.
sure, they might like don't send this. If they send that staging to Eurovision, this would flop.
Done.
It's very minimalist. I don't know. It's very 2012 staging as well. I
12? I think it's like 2005, maybe.
maybe that. Like it's I know I like nothing about the staging.
Yeah.
Perfectly.
Also,
perfectly
like
honest.
like the last part, she starts singing opera, and it's so
Sure.
yeah, like
for me, this is the definition of sure. Like
yeah, I need to do something. Okay, and then she starts like, you know what I mean? It's it comes across a bit like desperate, and don't want to be as harsh as I am right now, but
and also,
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this now. This one through jury tiebreak. That rule always sucks. Never like that rule.
Jury tiebreak. Come
Terrible
on.
rule. Terrible. I'm gonna say this now. I hate also the one that would have won if it was a televote tiebreak. I'm not going to say that, you know, I much prefer but morally, I prefer the televote tiebreak. Like the public should have the say. Like jury tiebreak sucks. Like no one ever should have that as a rule in their national final. So okay, we've I feel I know what's coming here, but obviously Moldova again, good qualification record. Would you say that this is unlikely to make it in the final, or do you have this in your final?
I think this is like one of the only ones where I'm pretty certain it's not going to qualify. Because we can't say about every song, "Oh, it might qualify, it might qualify."
Yeah.
Well, there are some songs leaving
There are some that aren't
behind,
going to.
Plus, Romania is out, so no help from them.
No hope.
Yeah, I really don't see a reason why it should be voted. Like it's like the things it has, it's just not enough, I think, for people to vote for it. For example, oh, there's a violin, so I need to vote for it. Well, it's pretty cheap looking and not memorable
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
enough.
hang on, Dom. There's not one violin. There's 6 violins because they're all
Yeah,
holding a violin.
exactly, because more is always better. No, apparently not. So yeah, I don't know. There's nothing really appealing.
It's just there. Like I get Moldova do usually have like fans around Europe that appreciate their entry, but for me, which it feels odd almost saying Moldova's a certain non-qualified because of how good their record is. It's like, well, surely they're in contention, you know. And I don't think that maybe not. I don't think there's zero chance this doesn't qualify. Like upgraded staging stuff like that. It's not a complete lost cause, but I would argue it's close. I don't see, it's also in the tougher semi-final on paper. I don't see a way out of this, sadly. That is likely. It could qualify. It could sneak in. Televote only can always bring up the question marks at the end of the day and uncertainty. But if I had to put some money on, especially considering how much I like maybes and how much I'm not sure on, I wouldn't see this in the final, which is a real shame for Moldova, because they, I think overall most people like Moldova. They don't like that. I wouldn't watch their national final, but they're always a fun country to have at the contest. But this is not their strongest year. I don't believe so either. It doesn't have the quirkiness which usually we associate with Moldova, and also it's like it's serious, but it's just fine. The song is not bad, but it's fine. That's the problem, and you don't do well with fine. Anyway, that is our thoughts on Moldova. Moldova will be performing in the second half of semi-final 1. So that will conclude another edition of the Eurovoxx podcast. Thank you so much for joining us on this bumper edition on the show. It has gone we've gone for so long that Dom's background has changed slowly as it's gone more and more like the Looked-Out staging with the dark vibes. But if you have stayed for this whole thing, thank you very much. Even if you just clicked like certain aspects of songs from the timestamps, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. At the end of the day, we're talking about 7 songs. We want to cover them in like thorough detail and not just skim over them for the sake of time. Coming up next week, well, I actually say next time, next week, next time on the show, we are working out the schedule. I'm not going to guarantee there'll be an episode next week because no disrespect to Croatia and San Marino, but those 2 countries alone are not enough to fill an episode for next week. So we will see. Obviously, the next episode, though, what I can guarantee is the next episode will guarantee be reacting to at least Croatia and San Marino. And there's a high chance potentially there'll be some more countries in there, potentially even my own. We'll have to see on that front. But of course, Dom, thank you so much for being a fantastic guest throughout this journey through 7 songs this evening. Always lovely to speak to you. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave a like on this video. If you are watching via video, I should say, make the news website your home for Eurovision news. And of course, in my very biased opinion, make sure to go over to the Spotify, follow that, leave a rating on our podcast. It really helps expand the podcast over there. All that's left for me to say is hope you enjoy this, and we will see you next time. Bye, guys.